Okay guys, I'm here today with Giancarlo Bodoni, huge honor for me. Guys, the ADCC 2022 champion, and he had one of the best performances in the ADCC. He had 4 matches, 3 submissions, and the only match that he didn't get a submission, he finished with the rear neck choke. So probably like another 10 seconds he would have got it. And guys, today he's gonna show us here the easiest way to escape from the 50-50 in no-gi, which is part of the instruction that he's just filming right now. That's all about leg lock defense, right, Bodoni?
Yeah.
And man, 50-50 is one of the most dangerous positions for leg lock no-gi, right? Because your heels are completely exposed, right?
Yeah, so 50-50 no-gi for leg locks is a really good attacking position, but if you're not familiar with leg locks, and like a person like myself, if you guys followed my career, you'll know that early on in my career, I came from a background that I did no-gi, but it was primarily gi, and I didn't really have much of a leg lock or a heel hook specific background at all. And so from a person that comes from more of a gi background, 50-50 in the gi is completely different because we don't have the threat of heel hooks. Yep. So you can spend all day in 50-50, you don't have to worry about keeping your leg locks, hiding your feet and things of that nature. And so the main idea behind this instructional was to show people kind of how I started learning leg lock defense, which was primarily one, how to be in leg entanglements and survive, and then escape the leg entanglement. And then as you progress in learning leg locks, you can start working on counter attacking, counter leg locking, taking the back, things of that nature. But for me in the very beginning, especially as I started to transition to no-gi, and then eventually when I moved to Austin, started training full-time with John, was we need to be able to address this hole and fill that gap in your game. And so that first part of it was, okay, how can I change my mindset to where when I'm in the position, I know exactly how to position my leg properly. I know exactly how to defend and hand fight and how to heel slip, hide my heel, things of that nature. And then also how to approach a person who might want to leg lock me to minimize the danger of leg locks. So the primary emphasis of this particular instructional was surviving and escaping. And one of the positions that I think for me was very different was 50-50 for those reasons. Coming from a background that didn't have heel hooks, it's completely different in the gi.
Yeah, and I think if you're not good at defending heel hook and you fall in the 50-50 no gi, you're in huge trouble.
Yeah.
Because your legs are locked, your heel is exposed, and there's so many options to attack from there that...
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, let's do it.
Yeah, we're gonna show... Obviously, there's a ton of attacks that we can both do on each other. Because we're in the 50-50 and we have the exact same leg entanglement on each other, Bernardo can go in, he can attack my leg, I can go in and attack his leg. But for the purposes of maybe I'm having trouble getting to a leg lock on Bernardo, or maybe I'm just worried about his leg game and I just want to get out of this position and start progressing to more of a positional advantage. Maybe I want to come back on top and start passing. And so I just don't want to be in this leg entanglement for whatever reason. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're in the 50-50, we have to focus on keeping our legs safe. And so in this position, in order to prevent Bernardo from going in and attacking my heel, I want to make sure that my feet are crossed, okay? And I cross them right at the ankle or the calf here, okay? We do a shallow crossing of the legs. I don't lock a full figure 4 triangle, okay? So we always cross initially shallow on the legs. Now, if I was interested in attacking Bernardo, I would be more interested in getting my knee down to the floor and then starting to split his legs and go in and start attacking. But because I'm interested in standing up and passing and just escaping this position, I'm gonna be more interested in leaning in the opposite direction now while still maintaining my feet crossed so that it's difficult for him to go in and split my legs. And from here, preventing Bernardo's knee from getting down to the mat. What he wants is to get his knee to the floor, shrimp out and get his knee to the floor. And now even while you're down on your hip, he wants to start separating my legs and then going in and starting to attack my heel. So initially, I keep my feet crossed to minimize that initial exposure of the heel. And then as we start to move to this side, now from here, I'm not interested in attacking Bernardo's legs. I came down to this side, but I go in and I start looking to stand up. When I go to stand up, I initially start controlling the knee so that it's harder for him to put his knee down on the floor. And then from here, I want to start to stand up. And in order for me to stand up, I have to uncross my feet. Okay. However, if I stand up carelessly and I just come forward here, Bernardo can go in and he can start scooping my leg, and then he can start coming out the backside. And once he's in the backside, he can start attacking my heel in a much stronger position. So I want to be able to stand up in a way, anticipating this, knowing that he has that option to minimize his ability to invert. Okay, so as we came off to this side, I had my feet crossed, I controlled the knee, and I hold it up like so. Now from here, I start to unlock my feet. I place my foot over my own foot initially. I pull my heel into the hip, okay? And we start off right over here. Now, as I go to get up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hand and I'm gonna use a throat post on Bernardo's throat, okay? So I just place my thumb in like so. And I connect my elbow to my own knee, okay? And from here, the throat post is completely legal as long as I don't squeeze the neck. I'm allowed to push, but I just can't squeeze the neck. Okay, so that's the only thing you're not allowed to do. But you're allowed to place your hand here, and this is going to be just enough to prevent it from coming forward. Now, as I start heisting up, even if Bernardo is able to reach this leg, he goes to invert.
It's hard.
It's so hard because of the throat post. Okay. Now, from here, we're going to go in and we're going to start standing up to our feet. Okay. As I come up to my feet, I maintain the throat post and I keep my hand on the floor. Okay. And take your time here. If at any point you feel that as you start to stand up, you're getting off balance, don't be afraid to put your hand on the floor or your knee back on the floor. So keep your weight hanging off to this side. I don't want to come up too aggressively where I get knocked back down in this direction. Okay, or I get off balance in this direction. So we do everything same as before. We keep our feet close together and we start putting this throat post in. Keep our knee and elbow connected, and I start coming up to my feet and I start leaning off to this side. Now, when it's time for me to get up, Bernardo's gonna probably keep a tight lock of his legs. As I start standing up, there's a bunch of different ways that we can go about getting our legs free. The main thing you wanna think about is you're either focused on splitting his legs to where when I split them, his hips go on the floor, and then from here I can start either stepping over or pulling my leg free. Or you can use other methods where you start looking to get your knee above his knee. Okay, and then now from here, you can start limping your leg free and then going in and doing your passing. So for the purposes of escaping 50-50, minimizing the heel exposure, and then going back to a neutral position where you can start being offensive with passes, that's one of the methods that I like the most.
Well, a few things caught my attention here. Just go back there again. So this thing that you do here, if you put your both feet very close to my hip,
yeah.
Right, that's pretty cool because now it's really hard for me to attack, right? I don't have the angle to find your heel, right?
Yeah, and you want generally my toes coming into your armpit. Yeah, so I hide if I bring it close to the heel.
And this thing here as well, I had never seen this before. So this is because nobody expects that. Like we think about placing the hand on the hip, controlling the arm.
Yeah, exactly. And in the gi, most of the time we're used to holding a sleeve so that the guy can't come up. Yeah. But you don't have that option. Okay, I can hold a wrist, but it's not going to last very long.
And I think like we always avoid stretching our arm, right? In general in jiu-jitsu, but over here there's no danger at all, right? Because it's 50-50. There's no arm bar.
And I keep my knee and elbow connected, so it's hard for you to get in.
And then also you get up and escape. So what are the two options again? Just so I refresh my memory here. So
there's a couple different options, but I like to differentiate between splitting the legs or extracting your knee.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you split the legs again?
So if I can come in, if your legs are crossed, you're gonna be, when you have this position, I can go in and I can start looking to scoop my opponent's legs. Okay. I can go in and I can start looking to drive my hips forward and start separating him at the feet. Okay. So if I decide to scoop your legs, I'd come in and I'd grab your thigh over here and I can start looking to throw your legs by and start getting my knee to the floor.
That's incredible.
Once my knee's on the floor, now there's no real danger of a heel hook.
Good. And then the other option, you push my leg down and make sure that your knee is above my.
Exactly. So if you lock up tight, now your hips come off the floor. So if you back heel and lift your hips off the floor, now from here I go in, I start pushing on the shin and on the knee, and then get the leg free. So I'm either trying to get my knee free first, or I'm trying to split your legs first.
No, man, that's incredible. Yeah, and in the whole time, you are aware of your foot, and your foot is not that exposure than most people.
Yeah, and so you have to keep, as you're doing all this, you have to be aware of what your opponent can do and be aware of your leg position. So there's concepts and things that we talk about in the instructional that for me personally, when I was learning all of this, made a huge difference and was like basically made or it was like night and day. My heel hook defense. Okay, things like hiding your heel, learning how to extract your knee line, learning which direction to turn, and things like that.
Oh, and you were the perfect example for that, because you were the type of person who had a very good jiu-jitsu, but you had a big hole in your game, which was like leg lock defense, right?
Yeah.
I remember like you got submitted a few times with heel hooks.
Yeah.
And then when you moved to John in Austin, 1 year later, like you were literally like exposing your foot and grabbing people. Like in the ADCC, you fought against the guy who had probably like the top 3 best heel hooks in the tournament, and he went to the heel hook against you, and you got his foot.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
and that's kind of comes into like there's that first aspect, which is you have to learn how to be safe in that position. You have to learn how to be comfortable and not freak out in that position. And then ultimately you want to be comfortable enough where you know that you could survive and then get out of the position if you want to. And then as you progress, you end up going into like what you saw, counter leg locking, counter attacking from those positions. And it's a lot easier to, if you like learn these little things, it's a lot easier to become very difficult to leg lock in a shorter period of time than it is to become a good
specialist.
Yeah.
But man, as long as you know how to defend, this is like
right. It's huge.
Yeah, you know, like, but anyways, so guys, this is part of the new instruction that Giancarlo is just filming. That's going to be at BJJFanatics.com very soon. Maybe by the time you're watching, it's already there. And it's all about surviving and defending leg locks, right?
Yeah, surviving and escaping.
And escaping the leg lock. So make sure to check it out at BJJFanatics.com. And make sure to learn from Giancarlo. I think like he's getting exposed to the world right now after he won the ADCC. And he's also an amazing instructor besides an amazing athlete. So check it out, and thanks so much, Bodoni.
Thank you.
Please help me out to grow my YouTube channel. Just click subscribe. And to watch more videos, just click under see more videos. I hope you enjoyed.
BJJFanatics.com. Use the promo code YouTubeFaria to get 10% off any instructional video. Improve your jiu-jitsu faster.